This episode of Speakers of Hydaelyn is made possible by our generous patrons, like Kylin, Scry de la Rosa, Omegacat Comet, Hans Grenade, Anna Ginterrace, Lilium Tenebrae, Courtney, Mayli Algrim, Ariana Barakil, Elim, Casey Schaefer, Lily Black, Chaitan, Chesha Soltiri, Ariel, Erisu Yamakawa, Cicerifu Lilirafu, Diamos Ignal the Dragon, Jamie Asur, Fafamai Kokomai, and Asuta Starbreeze. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/speakersxiv.
This is Speakers of Hydaelyn.
Go. Hello, Eorzeans. Welcome to Speakers of Hydaelyn, episode 121. I'm the Keel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Yas, Put, and Mela Venadar.
Hello.
Episode 121. God.
Yeah, 121.
Today we're going to talk about the 5 years of 14 retrospective that was published by Square Enix. I believe it was actually. I don't remember when it was published. It must a couple of days ago, a day or two ago. It's basically Square Enix interviewing their own staff on 14, and this is part 1, which will focus on A Realm Reborn. So we'll talk about that. There's some neat details there that it's really worth talking about. We'll also read some MogMail if we have time for it. We've received a lot of MogMail, and a lot of it is like really long MogMail, so we'll see. Also, stay tuned for the post-show because we'll be premiering Remnants of a Realm, Limbs of Lominsa Part 2, so don't miss that. We'll discuss that, of course, as well. That's that. There's, in quick news, nothing. Like, it's spooky. There's nothing happening. No.
It's like the calm after the storm?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
They've already blown their load.
Sure, pretty much.
Happy Destroy Dick December, by the way.
Is it September?
Sorry, but Rollo isn't here, so I have
We're supposed to be the ones that say stuff that we're not supposed to say.
I know. Anyways, what was I saying? Right. I think we'll just move on to the actual retrospective. It's funny because if you're wondering why I'm so weird today, it's because for the first time Lukiel has gone digital. I'm reading the show notes,
and I will say it has torn his world apart.
My world is crumbling before me. So
he's gone digital.
I've gone.
An iPad.
Grandpa's gone. It's like a really old iPad. Hold on.
Maybe you should make 45 pages of show notes then.
That's true.
I can't decide the news, Smala. Also, I couldn't find everything's falling apart. I couldn't even find my earplugs, so everything's bad. Earplugs? They're still called earplugs. So. Hello, fellow kids. Let's move on to the main story. Square Enix released this big piece about Final Fantasy XIV, the lead developers behind 14 answering or talking about their experience with A Realm Reborn. I'll read the opening part here. In this 3-part symposium, love that word, core members of the 14 team discussed the development of the game over the past 5 years, focusing on A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood. We begin with a look at the revamped title and the early days of its development. And I love that it's got like participants. And the pictures are all like, they look like they were taken without them really knowing.
Yeah.
It's like Yoshi-P, you can't even see it. Yoshi-P like mid-sentence. Soken looks like he's having a bad
at
day.
The end.
There's
so depressed.
Some weird pictures. So let's just begin with the opening here. The headline: The Mayan prophecy was about Eorzea. Oh yeah, because that happened in 2012. You're right.
Oh my god!
That's a link I've never made. That's the connection.
Wow. It wasn't anywhere near December though, right? Wasn't it like in
September.
No, it was
yeah, it
12.
was
Yeah.
September, so it was a little
That's
early,
close,
but pretty
though.
close.
Yeah, pretty close. No, wait,
You
was it?
can't expect the Mayans to get it perfectly. Yeah.
I thought it was like September, October, or something like that.
It might be November. It
Was it
might have
November?
been. It
Wasn't
was
it the 12th of December?
no. That was the Mayan. I can't remember. I think September was the launch date for 1.0, and then November might have been the shutdown. I should know this because made a series about it. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
yeah, that's true.
That was a year ago. You moved on.
Gone Digital still shows webcam to show shit. Okay, anyways. The Seventh Umbral Calamity was an event created as part of your plans to rebuild 14. Where did the idea of tying this together with closing the servers come from? Interesting question. We kind of...
Who's asking these questions?
Square Enix. I don't know,
Okay.
Square Enix is asking. When we realized something had to be done about version 1.0, we first did a thorough assessment of the game's failings and what aspects of it needed improvement. All of the core development team members were involved. It was a rigorous process with many late nights. We came together to discuss the results of our findings on December 28th, 2010. After everyone went over their reports, I told them to go home and get some rest so that I could go over the details of what they found during the New Year break and think about how to proceed. And so I began my review of all their research. There was so much that needed fixing. I think mulling over it all gave me a fever. And then he laughs. Almost got a fever. Recreation.
That
On
is
New
pretty
Year's
funny.
Day, thank you. On New Year's Day, as I sat under my kutatsu, thinking about what to do, a television program came on talking about how the Mayans prophesied that the world would end in 2012.
What?
We had no concrete plans as to how we would rebuild the game at the time, but I'd been thinking that whatever we did, the maps would have to be remade. And if they had to be built from scratch, blowing up the world could be pretty interesting. That's when I began writing the plot for the Seventh Umbral Calamity. By the end of January 2011, we had our plan for the game's rebirth.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. There's also, he didn't mention it, but it's been, I think he has said it multiple times before, but Dalamud was already a plot point that was going to play a part later in the game with, I'm talking about Tanaka's 14. Because
It wasn't gonna fall though.
No, it wasn't gonna fall. There was talks of like going to it. Like some people talked about an expansion. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Everything just bright red.
Yeah.
It's a little. Well, like it would it have like
we
at that
don't
point.
know what Dalamud's
It probably
actual
would have just
design.
been like Mars because
Yeah, that'd probably been an actual moon.
Well,
it wasn't mechanical at that point, right?
Oh, that's a scary question. I can't remember.
It probably wasn't.
This is Tanaka we're thinking. About.
Bahamut wasn't connected to it. That's for sure.
No, Bahamut was surely not. No, but
So-
it might have been a mechanical construct from the beginning. I'm not, but
Maybe.
don't quote me on that. I can't remember. But at least it did exist. It was called Menfinen's Loyal Hound.
Was it? Yeah. Okay. So it was already rotating.
Yeah.
Mefina and
Yes,
everything
it
like
was
that.
in orbit around
Okay.
Menfina. Yeah. What do you all think? What did you all think when you heard about this idea? Takai says, I knew the game obviously couldn't stay as it was, but even if you were only changing the visuals, I told them we'd need to decide whether we could completely change the graphical design of the game, or perhaps cancel the PS3 version, as it was having compatibility issues with the PC version.
Really?
I like this guy.
No way.
We eventually decided to overhaul the graphics engine, and I also recall talks of wanting a really amazing scenario to mark the end of the world and its rebirth. Which I guess we can all agree was a really good way to end it. So you had so you had all come to an agreement that if the game world had to be destroyed, that it should be done as an event of sorts. Takai says, we all nodded in agreement when we heard the idea from Yoshi-P. Yoshida says, it's very Final Fantasy, and something most other titles would never be able to do, which made it all the more interesting. Nothing says Final Fantasy like a giant meteor hurtling towards the planet.
That's true.
Good point.
That's the plot of pretty much every game.
Yeah.
It's definitely the plot of 7.
Yeah. Takai says, I remember you bringing up the Mayan prophecy and laughs. After New Year's, talks were progressing towards rebuilding the game. And when it came down to how we would go about it, we decided we would use a meteor to explain how the world was destroyed. Yoshida says, in a lot of older MMORPGs, you weren't able to carry over data from the beta test to official service, and the whole thing was a bit of a mess. Knowing this was often the case, we decided we needed a definite end to version 1.0. If A Realm Reborn had released at the end of 2012, we could have said this was what the Mayan prophecy was really about, but unfortunately we weren't able to release the game until 2013.
And then he laughs Riley.
And
It's very
yeah,
specific.
yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I did not know that's new information.
know,
The Mayan
yeah.
prophecy thing. I never connected
I never
the
would
dots
have.
there.
Yeah,
No.
I never would have connected that.
No.
Because it just seems like just a good way to do it anyway.
Mhm.
To
Also-
get inspiration from the news.
Yeah.
isn't
It's
it?
definitely a look into Yoshida as well. That he's watching conspiracy. He's like watching Mayan prophecy conspiracies.
That was all over the news.
Although, yeah,
That's
I can almost like imagine him.
Well,
He's like
that was in
he's like
2010 though.
really stressed, and he's like over his paper. He's like,
He's
how do I gonna
having,
do
like,
this? And then the news is on in the
10 glasses
background.
of
He's like
wine.
he's got a glass of wine. He's like, oh, fuck. The Mayan
Woolhead's,
prophecy.
like,
Blah blah blah
passed
blah.
out in the
Yeah,
background.
Woolhead. And then the person talking about Mayan, and you can just see it in Yoshi-P's eyes.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, someone make a movie about that. That is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
someone could make a movie about Yoshi-P's like
troubled life.
and how he got. I mean, 14's troubled life. But
I mean,
how
I was gonna say
Yoshi-P
you make it sound like he's like came out of the most hard conditions ever.
Well,
like,
to be fair, he keeps saying
Straight
that
out
it
of
is. It's like
Hokkaido.
I almost got was fever sick. I barely had
Yeah.
life left.
it would be a boring movie.
My
let's be
wife
honest.
left me in it.
Yeah.
He'd be like sitting at a desk for like 95% of the movie.
Yeah.
True. From planning to execution, struggles on the road to A Realm Reborn. Could you tell us some of your most memorable moments from the development of A Realm Reborn? Gondai, who's Gondai again? He's I'll have.
That's Ozma.
The
Oh, yeah.
development
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that Mr. Ozma?
I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dev
Mr.
supervisor.
G or whatever they used to call him.
Yeah. Dev supervisor.
G unit.
When it came
Oh,
to
yeah.
working on the battle system, Yoshida told me I could change things as I saw fit. I
that was
was
nice.
taken aback that he'd put so much trust in me. It was our first time working together and I barely knew him. After all we'd been through with version 1.0, I was also feeling a bit paranoid. Back then, I was convinced that I had to do everything myself, that I couldn't depend on anyone for anything. In 1.0, that says a lot about 1.0.
Yeah, for
again.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
But one man can only do so much. Yoshi-P put me in charge of two people he brought over from another project he'd worked on previously, Sato and Yokozawa. They didn't exactly have any experience working with battle systems, so I thought, are you guys only here to monitor me?
There's a lot of laughing in this.
They are
I
drunk.
think
He
Yoshi-
had serious trust issues back then.
Yeah,
I
Yoshida
thought
says
everyone was
that.
just monitoring me.
Gondai
But,
continues.
It's
Yeah,
interesting that
What?
like Yoshida he obviously just didn't want an extra thing on his plate.
Yeah,
So it's like, you deal with the whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely right though. It does peek into 1.0 in a very interesting way.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
fact that people felt the need to be like, well, if I split the load, it's going to make things worse. It almost makes it sound like he's like, I have to control it
Dude.
to make the best out of the situation.
Yeah, every time we
Yeah.
learn something new about the production of 1.0, you just learn it's just a nightmare. Like no
Yeah.
departments talked. Like how can you run a game like that? They were like, we're making
Yeah.
a game, just deliver this by this date and don't talk to any other department.
Like
and they just
he makes it sound like he was the only one that knew what was going on in the battle system.
Yeah.
for its
Yeah.
run.
yeah, and
Which is
that's
like-
probably true. And then he
Hey,
Which
just
is like,
delivers.
I-
So what they would do, from what we've learned, is that they say he would make the battle system. He would have no input from anyone else, and then when he was done, or at least come to a certain point, he would go to like a meeting with all the departments, which they had very rarely, and then it would be, "This is the battle system," and then it'd be like, "Okay, this is the battle system. Moving on.
Yeah.
This is the current MSQ. Is done now." That would happen as people completed the world design.
Yeah.
So everything was just absurd.
It's like a mod. It's like they took an engine and then just started adding like things to
Yeah.
it that didn't actually connect with each other.
Yeah.
Really, it's really strange.
It's like a
isn't it?
puzzle piece. It was absolutely
Yeah,
bonkers.
definitely.
Okay. I'd heard they came over after some issues on their past project, and we were all skeptical of each other. They laugh again. There was, I wouldn't say a sense of nervousness, but we were keen not to show any signs of weakness, very Japanese. That sentiment eventually led to a surprisingly productive working relationship.
Fair.
Yeah, Yoshida says, I can certainly relate to that. Coming onto a project with hundreds of people seemingly out of nowhere as the new boss, I was expecting there to be resistance. And I had to be ready should that have indeed been the case. There was a lot of tension on the team, but we were motivated, and I think things turned out very well. Yeah, that must have been weird too, because we think now that they changed the entire team out, but they didn't. They kept a certain a piece of some people stayed behind. They did swap out a lot of people, but some people stayed behind, and it must have been weird because Tanaka was at the time like a really respected like director / producer because he'd done 11. And here comes Yoshi-P out of the shadows. Hadn't even touched a Final Fantasy title before. I understand why there would be some tension there. But here's the big shot.
It's interesting that he seems more worried that there'd be resistance rather than the fact that he's walking into a burning pile that he's been told to fix.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be more like, oh God, how am I going to sort this out? Rather than, people might not like me.
To be fair, I mean, it's got to be better to join a project that has already failed. There's kind of less on the line than doing a project that's doing super well, like, and has to be almost perfect because the thing before it was perfect.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Right, Yoshida. A bunch of lone wolves coming together to... Wait, no. What? Have I... Gondai says, I can't say I'd ever focused that hard on work before, but thanks to that focus, we were able to make something really special. What's more, I learned to trust in people again. God.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yoshida says, glad to see this helped you grow as a person. Then he laughs
again. Everyone just...
they're having a great time. Gondai says, the two guys I mentioned...
when you used to hate everyone?
The two guys I mentioned earlier have grown a lot too. It makes me wonder what problems they could have possibly had on their previous project. I'd say they're two of the best planners in the entire company. Then, later on, people like Sudo, who is considered a god by players, and Nakagawa joined the team. A sort of rivalry developed between us, and we all improved immensely as a result. Yoshida says, a bunch of lone wolves coming together to make a pack. We still get a little wild from time to time, but at the end of the day, we're a team. So, that's interesting.
So there was like a sort of competitive nature to the job as well.
Yeah.
That makes it sound like a really, really poor working environment, really bad to work.
I mean, they had a bad working environment to begin with. They were on a sinking and burning ship. So
they were all paranoid. They were probably worried they'd lose their jobs.
Most of
they didn't want to share anything. That's horrible.
Yeah, and it was.
Thanks, Tanaka.
It had a happy ending though. So I mean, it hasn't ended yet, but technically. Thanks, Tanaka. How was working on the music and sound for A Realm Reborn? By the way, I'm not blaming Tanaka entirely. Square Enix is very much to blame as well. Don't give me that in the comments. How was working on the music and sound for A Realm Reborn? Finally, Soken gets to talk. He's not just there for decoration.
Straightly interrupted by Yoshida.
Here's the thing, Wiki, they didn't tell you, but actually before they asked the question, it's actually Soken asking.
Oh, it's Soken's asking. I see.
actually asking the question.
Soken says, I wasn't involved with looking into the problems with version 1.0. As sound director, I was tasked with everything sound related except for the music. So he worked on 1.0. As sound, he was sound director, which is interesting because I believe, although, I mean, Uematsu was in charge of the music in 14, but I don't know if he was like hired or if he was they just sent him like.
He was already freelance at that point.
He was, yes. He had already separated from Square Enix, so I believe he wasn't like part of the team in any way. Actually, we know he wasn't part of the team because he didn't even know what he was composing to. The music for 1.0 is so disjointed because he had no idea what game he was. They just said it's a Final Fantasy game. I do believe they said it was high fantasy, but he still made like techno and 80s sounding tracks, which is weird, but that is
it didn't stop him in 9 either.
That's true. But like if you compare his work with 11, which was when he was still part of Square Enix,
sure, yeah,
the music like fits. Music kind
Definitely
of doesn't fit with everything in 1.0. But yeah, people tend to not know that. But Soken was also in 1.0. He was the sound director. But he only did sound effects. My department also handled projects outside of 14. So when we were told we'd be working on it, we thought, do we know what we're getting ourselves into? I remember having lunch with co-workers from the department, and we were talking about how we wished a meteor or something would just blow the whole thing up so they could start over. Next thing I knew, this guy named Yoshida showed up saying, we're hitting the reset button, drop a meteor on it. I thought, no way, they're actually going to do it? This guy gets it. We were pretty excited. After that point, the office was, I wouldn't say it had a bad vibe, but things felt stagnant. Just imagine working on, imagine working on it. The game is trash. Yeah. The game is failing. Your company is almost about to keel over because of what you've done.
Yeah.
That must be awful.
I understand their whole attitude in there. It's got to be really strange because they're talking about it feeling really stagnant.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a weird environment knowing that you came on to fix a game initially and then them being like, no, we're starting over. Now you have to make a game. Like that's got to be such a strange work environment to be in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it interesting because the way you see them on stage, Soken and Yoshi-P are so close. Yeah. But the fact that he's just saying, and then this guy Yoshida comes in, it's like obviously they hadn't known each other before the project.
Yeah,
but they've got on so well. It's nice to see that.
With the slate being wiped clean, you could tell people's feelings toward Final Fantasy XIV were changing. As I said before, our department worked with a lot of titles, so we're bound to be influenced by the developers. That was when people seemed to start lighting up.
As in smoking more.
That's around the time you started working on the music as well. Soken answers, when I first when I first heard they were remaking the maps, I wasn't expecting much to change. Then I saw their plans. Everything was completely different from version 1.0. I was at a loss. The music we had wouldn't work with those areas. Didn't quite work when. Well, actually, the area music actually fit pretty well.
So is he saying that I don't know about this? Was his job before, like, if Uematsu gave him all the songs, was it his job to figure out where to put the songs?
Well, he is
he's kind of making it sound like it, right?
Sort of, maybe.
Like he got to place them in the appropriate spots.
Yeah, who else would do it, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, he would also make...
And it sounds like he's saying, like, in this sentence, he's like, I didn't know where to put the songs back. Yeah. Seems like he was in charge of that.
Yeah,
maybe.
He also worked on some of the songs in 1.0 as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To make matters worse, we didn't have enough tracks, so I had to write more. Then they figured, well, if you're making more music, why not keep doing that after release? The thing is, they weren't planning to have only a single track playing all the time in each map. They wanted music that embodied the charm and unique qualities of all the different settlements and locales that filled them. But there was no way we could write the music while the guys making the maps were off doing their own thing. So I ended up working closely with the guy in charge of map design. We wouldn't have finished in time if I waited for him to finish a map before I started making the music, though, so I had to write them as they were building the areas. Looking back on it now, things were pretty crazy. We were like machines or something.
Flash forward literally 3 years after this, and he's got the world record for the most songs in a video game.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine going from, hey, do you want to make some tracks, to being one of the highest volume composers for a single video game that has ever existed?
Yeah.
When he says we were like machines, no, Soken, you are a machine. That is insane.
Yeah. Yoshida says, yeah, we only had 2 years to get it done. Which, again, it's an insane, like, deadline. 2 years to make an MMO.
It seems impossible. It literally seems impossible.
Soken says, working on the graphics, design, and sound together every day was one challenge after the next. At the end of the day, our common goal was to make something appealing to draw people in. It sounds like you were all quite motivated, but what was it that kept you going? Was it the chance of a fresh start? Soken, I wouldn't say it was our main driving force, but it was a much-needed wake-up call. Takai says, there was a peculiar sense of optimism that things would work out in the end. Soken, The lack of anyone serious on the team probably helped too. I have a feeling Tanaka was pretty. He's not the. He wouldn't.
What, did you see
he
the
wouldn't
picture
crack
of him
a joke.
With his foot on like the model aorta
Dude,
thing.
don't talk about that.
And he's so corporate and
that is the
stiff
saddest
and just...
picture I know of. Don't ever bring that up
that
again. When he's
sad.
like, there's the picture of Tanaka. God bless his soul. He's I think it's in E3. He's promoting Final Fantasy 14, and they have this big set with.
Wasn't this pre-announcement?
I think this
wasn't this setting up for its initial announcement?
I can't remember if it was, but yeah, it might have been. And they had built this, this pre Silver Tier Skies battle, Mordona, the classic they used in all the promotional stuff for 1.0, and they had built like
it's like a background within like a 3D.
Yeah, they had built like terrain out so you could like stand on Eorzea. And
kind of.
Yeah, and there he is in front of his brand new creation. He's got his foot on the grass and he's looking at the camera, and you can tell
his arms folded as
well. His arms are folded,
so stiff and awkward.
And you can tell in his eyes that he has no idea what is going to happen after this. It's like this could go very bad or it could be very good. But I think even he knew. You can probably find it on. You'll find it if you Google it enough. But it is one of the he's not even looking at the camera. I think it's just the picture.
He's just looking up.
The picture isn't even good. The picture looks like it's just taken like at random. Which everything with 1.0 was like that. Everything like the interviews, the promo stuff. It was all like it looked like it was just recorded. Like at random, nothing seemed like they didn't put any money in the promotional stuff, at least in the West. But yeah, that's the saddest picture I know of. I don't know how we got onto that, but he wasn't the one to crack jokes, and you can tell by that picture as well. But that is one of the saddest pictures. I think about that every now and then when I think about 1.0.
You really summed it up. It's just like he just looks incredibly corporate.
Yeah,
like, it just looks like he's not a guy who should be speaking to people about his game.
Yeah,
he doesn't even seem like the game developer sort.
No, he doesn't. I agree.
He never did. He felt so
should
disconnected.
Be in, like, accounting or something.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Love you, Tanaka.
Love you, Tanaka. You did great with 11. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. I was very focused on doing my part for the project instead of thinking about the overall synergy of the team. And when I saw people around me making headway, I'd think, you guys aren't leaving me behind. Interesting.
Did it laugh again?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
He didn't laugh.
No, he didn't. No laugh. That was serious. Yoshida. There was definitely a sense of everyone trying to outdo each other. Now he laughs. At the time, I found Final Fantasy XIV's situation to be unbearable. There were all these players who'd been waiting for the game, some even buying new computers because they had to, specifically to play it, and we failed to deliver. What's more, Komoto had to divide his attention between directing 14 and addressing problems with other company projects. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, he chose to put the other projects first, constantly pulling late nights at the office to keep up with all his work. Of course, this wasn't the reason for the players' anger. I believe that's a separate issue the company should have dealt with. Oh, wow. There's some sting.
Wow,
there's some sting here, yeah. Internally, the team had caught a lot of flack for what happened, but I'd always thought this wasn't all the 14 team's fault. Wasn't this also because the company was in a bind? Whoa!
Good on him.
Yeah, because he's safe now, because he's on the board.
He's going to lose his job after this.
I mean, that's pretty strong for Yoshida.
I looked it up. I don't see what Komoto, like other projects he's been associated with.
I think he just tried to protect Komoto because he's there in the room.
Oh, yeah. You think that's what it was? Because I was going to say, it doesn't look like he's worked on anything other than 11 and 14.
He just pulled late nights.
Yeah. Maybe there were some... Maybe he did work on 11.
Had some stuff.
Might have been 11. Might have been just
That's true. It actually could have been 11. That's a good point, yeah.
But it's interesting to hear him actually blame Square Enix now. Because... he's protecting the dev team.
It's their fault.
Yeah, because the dev team tends to get all the flack, and they're not.
It still is their fault. Anything wrong with the game is their fault.
Square Enix or the dev team?
Yeah,
Square Enix.
Square Enix. Because
Square Enix pushed the game so hard.
Square Enix also hires the dev team, so
yeah. You have to remember they announced 13 and 14 at the same press conference.
Yeah, weird. I remember seeing the CG cutscene for 14 on when we'd got our PS3 for the first time.
Yeah.
like that Christmas or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Final Fantasy 14. Wow, we're up to that already.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
that looks
I'm like,
really good.
wait, what wasn't 13? Where's 13?
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? We're almost at Final Fantasy, or we're almost at 2 consoles later, and we've only had 1 game.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Right. Takai says there was no shortage of angry people back then. That's for sure. Yoshida replies, and with all this going on, what did you think when a bunch of strangers invaded your team? Oh, Komoto answers, we discussed my stepping down as director even before you were here. There was still the matter of how I would continue supporting the project to figure out. And when you joined the team, I had to accept the situation and focus on the task at hand. But then it was decided the game would be remade, and I was told to see version 1.0 out until the end. In a way, I think we managed to finish things on a positive note. The original game was a failure, but it resulted in a truly unique shared experience. They did improve the game.
That's a very interesting thing, because he's still being like, we made the game okay, but he still doesn't believe that 1.0 shut down was a good game when it shut down still.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
But it wasn't a good game. Like no one could subject. I know there are some.
Who ask now. 1.28 stuck in the world.
The people that say that either don't remember it, didn't play it, or played a different game and thought that was 1.0.
100%.
That's not the game I played and the rest of the world played.
I don't know why my camera just went out of focus all of a sudden.
Oh, it's about to come back if you... There you go. Looking to the future of A Realm Reborn. Final Fantasy XIV had a clean slate starting with A Realm Reborn, but what kind of game did you want it to become? Gondai says, while drawing our experience creating 11, we also took inspiration from World of Warcraft, which was incredibly popular at the time. Rather than focus on forming parties to go kill monsters for experience, we wanted players to accomplish this through completing quests so they could enjoy themselves, even when playing solo.
So they could enjoy themselves.
Finally, 100%.
What a revolutionary concept for video game.
Of course, we also wanted to put an emphasis on story and scenarios where players join forces to overcome powerful enemies. Another important aspect of the game was time. As working adults, we thought it would be more appealing if people could play without having to devote significant amounts of time to it.
Yeah.
Yoshida says, games in the Final Fantasy series were originally standalone RPGs, so it was important to let players enjoy the game even when they're alone, and for any content that required help from others, we created the Duty Finder. In hindsight, there are several things I wish we could have done differently or gone back to fix, but we simply didn't have the time, which is a common thing about A Realm Reborn. There's a lot of stuff.
I guess it would be trusts?
Maybe? No, they wouldn't start the game with trusts.
That's kind of what it's making it sound like. Should have been easy. It's saying that it should have been easier for solo players.
I think it might be referring more to the Duty Finder, like stuff within the... Maybe not even having all the instance stuff. I don't know. A Realm Reborn was... If you look at vanilla A Realm Reborn, it had nothing. It had the 1.0 features just revamped and that on some dungeons. Yeah. As I said before, Gondai says this. As I said before, our intention was a system where players could level up through quests, but as we only had 2 years of development time, there weren't enough quests. This resulted in players playing through dungeons over and over again, which we never intended for them to do, and we certainly hadn't planned to implement a level sync system.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah.
Although if they never intended to do that, why did you make XP gain from killing monsters so tiny and XP gain from being dungeons so massive?
That was actually a problem at launch, if I recall correctly. They had to nerf that because for a brief period, I believe, in A Realm Reborn, you could get a lot of EXP from killing monsters in the overworld, and dungeons. I can't remember this. Oh god. Dungeons still gave good EXP, but I do remember that they buffed the EXP from dungeons. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I do believe that.
Why?
But yeah, that has the opposite effect.
And Fates too. Fates were especially better than dungeons.
why didn't they buff overworld monsters and then nerf
They did
dungeons?
the opposite. No, because the overworld monsters gave too much EXP compared.
Yeah, but
no one ran.
They don't want people to run dungeons.
Well,
right.
They're contradicting themselves because they changed it because they nerfed the overworld.
Because buffing dungeons makes people
dungeons.
spam them more, not less.
Yeah. Yoshida says, knowing players would have a need to repeat dungeons, we took various steps to simplify their design, and this is pretty. I haven't talked about this on Roar. I might talk about it one day. But at launch, the dungeon design, I'll just finish what he's saying, but the ones in A Realm Reborn still bear remnants of their original designs. For example, the Sunken Temple of Karn contained bees with a final sting attack that can kill you in one shot. Because of their placement in the original dungeons, players were ecstatic to clear it even once.
I'll admit, when I first cleared Karn for the first time ever, I thought it was a good dungeon. It was difficult.
Yeah, that's true.
They still have bees in there, and I can't remember the placement of the original ones, but
those are your first instant kill mechanics you run into in the game.
But
it was good, and it also had Doom in that dungeon.
Both Doom and the
so it's really good.
Final sting doesn't kill you anymore instantly, does it?
No, well, depends on your gear.
Okay,
If you're level synced, if you're level synced, it's not going to kill you.
Right.
If you're going in there at fresh level, it's probably going to kill you.
It probably will, yeah. Especially if you're in like ethereal gear and stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting because they had a different. They came off A Realm Reborn with like the 1.0 philosophy that dungeons were supposed to be more. It was supposed to have perhaps multiple choices, like branching paths, and a lot of that still exists in game. I know famously in Amdapur Keep, there is a second floor. A lower floor, I believe, or upper, I can't remember. There's a big staircase that we never see. And that was apparently supposed to be a second branch of the dungeon. Loads of those corridors exist in dungeons.
Just to go beat a different final boss?
Yes, probably. Like Totorak.
Why not? It's a good idea.
I think when
they kill all the bosses in under 10 minutes and you get an extra boss that drops special loot.
Yeah, I think that's what he means about the stuff he wanted to change with the Duty Finder, because I think that's why they simplified the dungeons.
Yeah, you can't put that in the what you just described, Mela, could never go in the Duty Finder.
Right.
Wow.
Never. You're going to tell me that with a random group of people, you're going to get to the end of the dungeon, be like, let's backtrack and go beat the other boss. They're going to be like, no, I got my tomes, I'm leaving.
Right, that's a fair point. But then it sort of gives dungeons two meanings, as in you can run this for the tomes, or you can get a pre-made and you can do the slightly harder version of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So here's the one everyone's talking about. The design of Tamtara Deepcroft was so complex, even if you had 90 minutes, you couldn't clear it. Soken says, I thought, there's no way anyone's finishing this. Yoshida says, we reduced the number of levels by about half, right?
Wow.
Gundai, originally there were a lot of paths you didn't have to take. And you'd often, so this is Totorag, which was 1.0 dungeon. And I think they basically just took the whole 1.0 map and just slapped it into A Realm Reborn. Originally there were a lot of paths that you didn't have to take. And you'd often find bosses waiting for you. But since these dungeons needed to be repeatable, we made changes that even a random party found in the Duty Finder could work their way through without getting lost. There also used to be several places where if you fell, you'd have no way of getting back to your original route.
Oh my god.
That's good.
Here's the thing. That's actually fine. I'm okay with all of that. Not at level 28 or whatever that dungeon is. 24, something like that.
That should be like an open world dungeon.
Or like a max level dungeon at least. If you're gonna do those kind of things.
Here's the explanation, Yoshida. I remember that. You had to wander about to find a switch to unlock a path back or something like that. Final Fantasy dungeons always have mazes and puzzles, so we thought we'd try it in Tamtara. He says Tamtara, but surely is it Tamtara?
I think he's.
Oh, maybe it was Tamtara. Oh, yeah, it is Tamtara.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I even remember that because in the beta, there were multiple routes.
Oh, my God.
There was a second boss, the chamber. I can't remember that was where Galvan, I think that was his original tomb. You can still see it today, but they've raised the area, so you can't actually go in there. But there used to be like one of those Dullahans in there as a boss. And yeah, I do remember it had. I don't know if it had all the branching paths then, but I do remember that boss.
Same.
So it was definitely different, and I'm sure. And again, Todorek has a lot of openings. Tamtara for sure, same thing, I guess. They
pretty much most 1.0 dungeons.
Yeah, but Tamtara, this wasn't the 1.0 Tamtara as far as I remember it. Tamtara was in 1.0, but this isn't the 1.0 model because it didn't have that big open room. I think maybe the corridor stuff from 1.0. I don't know, but you can tell by the design in general that it's meant to be like a modular, like it's just tunnels. And those are easy to make, a lot of. Let's see. We designed it expecting players to run out of time on their first try and clear it on their second attempt. So as you can see, they have this mentality of how 1.0 dungeons worked. The dungeon itself was a challenge. Like this, it wasn't meant to be repeated as much as it became.
They definitely seconded that when they made Amdapor Keep.
Yes.
And you wiped on that 5 or 6 times before you cleared it.
Yeah. But when you did manage to complete them, you would see a lot of progress in terms of the story. It wasn't simply content you passed through on the way to something else. It was a climactic struggle, like a primal battle. And because they were much bigger back then, it was a nightmare rigging the sound. This is Soken. When I had to work on places like the 1,000 Maws of Totorak, I was like, whoa, this is huge. And that I agree. I would assume if that's the whole 1.0 Totorak, that would be a nightmare. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yoshida says, that one was brought straight over from the original 14. So it was a different type of dungeon to those that debuted in A Realm Reborn. We made a lot of changes, but I wish we had removed the floors that give you the leaden debuff. That pew sound really gets on my nerves. There was originally something like a time bomb up ahead, and you had to get to it as quickly as possible, which is why we introduced the debuff that slows you down. But later, when we were adjusting the dungeon for repeated playthroughs, we got rid of the bomb. We ran out of time to change anything else, though, and the sticky floor got left in there.
Hey, you guys can patch it out now if you want.
Yeah, please, just do that. Does it make you sad that they sort of dumbed the dungeons down?
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Yeah, definitely. I think the only reason I'm sad is not because the dungeons, like, I'm personally glad that Tamtara, Todorok all got dumbed down. Mm-hmm. However, a lot of these ideas that they had would be great idea for harder 4-man content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these are all ideas I would love to see them utilize in a max level dungeon that's current content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soken says that pew thing you mentioned was just one of the problems Takai and I had to solve together. There are so many sound effects. We had a lot of trouble keeping within the PS3 memory limitations. That's right, bitches. I think that's like the first time they've actually said that they had to hold anything back because of memory limitations specifically. I think that's the first time. Soken was the one to say it. Thank you, Soken. Gotcha, YouTube comments. I like how I'm like at war with the YouTube comments. Yeah. Takai, I tried to keep things in check, like, you can't have separate sound effects for every single thing. Some of them have got to share the same sound and so on. There's an explanation of World of Warcraft.
I love how they explain what World of Warcraft is. Yeah, they're like, in case you didn't know, here's what World of Warcraft is.
Here's a quick brush up on World of Warcraft, guys. MMORPG produced by Blizzard Entertainment, in which each character belongs to one of 2 warring factions. The total number of users has exceeded 100 million, and the title is listed several times in the Guinness World Records.
Interesting way of explaining the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Duty Ready notification has such a distinct sound effect that Final Fantasy XIV players in Japan have taken to use the word "chiking" as part of their slang. Interesting.
I think we should try that.
Yeah. Soken says, it originally played when you filled the 3rd limit break gauge. I was asked to come up with something you can clearly make out, even in the heat of battle above, like 400 other sound effects. You know when you're in a really noisy place, like an arcade or a train station, but there are certain sounds that you can hear above everything else? That was what I had in mind when I made it. But then the UI team said that because it catches people's attention, they wanted to use it for the Duty Ready pop-up. Yoshida, the dev team didn't take too well to the shiking sound at first. They said it was too loud and felt... They said it was too loud and felt out of place. That was kind of the point, since it was designed for the limit break gauge, and it was obviously going to stand out. They would say things like, why does it go shiking? I swear you got that idea from somewhere else. What?
I mean, it is such a good sound, though, because when I'm queuing for Expert Roulette, I turn the game sound very high and Alt Tab and do something else.
Yeah.
So system sounds will play while Alt Tab, but nothing else will. And then I'll
and that sound cuts through everything.
He's totally right, because like I a lot of the times will play with my master volume at like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
right. Super low.
And
but no matter what, I still hear it.
Yeah.
Sometimes even when I'm not playing,
Gondai says
Shaking.
We were told it was just a placeholder effect, but we eventually got used to it. Soken continues, I actually made another sound just for the duty finder. Problem was, when I put it in, everyone was like, why did you change it? Yeah, keep the shaking. When it comes to sound effects, you can't tell how things are going to work out until they are actually released to the public. There are tons of cases like that. Like the effect that played when you make a new character and start the game for the first time. The
oh yeah.
It originally sounded like breaking glass and was meant to represent going inside the crystal. But it also played when you log in. If too many people were trying to access the server, you'd get kicked back to that screen and the same sound would play every time. It got annoying real quick, so we switched it out for something easier on the ears. Gondai, we had the same kind of thing with graphical effects using battles. They'd be too flashy or too bright, so we'd ask the team making the visuals to tone them down.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't.
And that's when they added Passage of Arms.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
The visual team got angry and made them even brighter.
Yoshida says, and they hated having to change any of the perfect effects they made.
They actually did get angry.
Yeah.
Probably did that out of spite.
Takai, we also had trouble getting the timing for attacks right. Yoshida, even now, that's a thorn in our sides. Gondai, ideally, we want the attack animations to be in sync with when the damage is actually dealt. But if it's a 3-hit action, it doesn't do any damage until the 3rd hit. We originally planned it so that the HP goes down, even when you're still only on the 1st or 2nd.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would be almost impossible for them to do. Just knowing the way the system works, because like right now, if you use an ability that'll hit everybody, but then you trigger a different ability, it has to rush the damage up to like. There's all those weird things in the way the damage works. I couldn't imagine trying to get that figured out.
No. Yoshida, a recent example of this problem would be the Black Mage's ethereal manipulation, where we had to adjust the delay from inputting the command to the action triggering. Players found that split second between holding up the rod and the movement occurring really frustrating, so they asked us to tweak it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true.
It was useless.
Yeah.
It was literally completely useless.
Yeah. Gondai, it's the same with the Dragoon's jump attacks. We know how fucking riddled with anger that was. People want us to change the amount of time it takes for you to be able to move again. Soken, that's why they asked us to adjust the animations too. Yoshida, it's because it looks weird if they trigger too late. It can also mess with the timing for processing damage and so on.
Yeah,
Takai.
The animation in this game has actually really impacted the gameplay, because when you're doing OGCDs, and it's like, and it's doing like 26 animation at once, and you can't start casting until it finishes.
Yeah,
it's very annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Animation lock is the worst thing ever.
Yeah. It is. Takai, the designers tend to prioritize the graphics and animations, but once they start playing the game properly, they learn how to see it from the battle team's perspective. Oh, that's what they mean about the jumps being too slow. If you get stuck
that's why Dragoons are always dead.
If you get stuck in one spot for too long, you won't be able to dodge that attack and end up dead. Laugh. That's why I'm always telling the designers to play the game. If they do, they'll be able to figure out potential pitfalls.
The game if you work on it.
Hey, I just love somebody coming in and being like, "Hey, Takai, I think you gotta change this." And he's like, "Hey, why don't you play the game, asshole?"
Yeah.
It's just like, don't tell him, play the game. That's so funny.
Fine-tuning the gameplay. Balance changes to jobs in MMOs have a habit of causing a stir among the player base. Which adjustments made in A Realm Reborn do you remember the most? Gondai, for me, it was the changes made to warriors. Hey, there was an attack in the Binding Coil of Bahamut that was supposed to be a one-shot kill, but paladins were able to survive it. I remember this. So nobody wanted warriors to tank in that battle. It was the glory days of paladin. The real issue was the paladin stats were too high, but we couldn't exactly nerf them because players who had until then been beating that content might not be able to anymore.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
It's like almost like they did that in Stormblood.
Yeah. We were in a situation where we had no choice but to buff Warrior, which I remember very clearly. The other thing was the Dragoon's magic defense. Oh yeah, when it comes to the pros and cons of the job, they were designed to be weak against spell damage, but made up for this in other areas. The trouble is, with the gradual increase in average item level, this would eventually become a major problem. We were thinking about changing it at some point, but a lot of players reached out to us asking us to fix it, so we ended up making that adjustment sooner than we originally planned. It took a while though, says Yoshida, around patch 2.4 I think. Takai. Dragoon's got a reputation for dying all the time in the second Coil of Bahamut too.
Not just then.
Not just then.
Everywhere.
It's been since 11, so I don't know. Gondai, the boss has a ton of magic attacks and doesn't let up. So if you're KO'd once, it's hard to get back into it. Now that I think about it, we should have dealt with that a whole lot sooner.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. The first few boss fights in A Realm Reborn used instrumental music, but later on, more and more songs had vocals. What was the intent behind that? Soken, the shift in style was kind of planned, but also kind of not. We were going to use some of the tracks from the original 14. The song for the Ifrit battle was fine. No, it wasn't. It's bad.
Yeah, I can't even remember it.
It is the worst primal.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that for forever. But the old music didn't work with Garuda, so we came up with something new. You see, the primals all have a heap of background info, like their role in the story, and what kind of followers they have. The battle planners take a lot of those docs, and we have a meeting to figure out what we're going to do with each primal. For Garuda, we wanted music that would really stand out, so we used vocals in the chorus. But when we later got around to writing the Titan track, we had to come up with something that packed an even bigger punch.
That makes so much sense that they wrote those songs in that order.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. Yoshida, Titan's theme is about the kobolds crying to their god for help. The kobolds,
I love kobolds.
I cry for the kobolds.
Yeah, they've got the hardest life. They're just trying to get on with it.
Yeah. Soken, at first I was thinking of some kind of tribal music, until I got asked to write something intense. Like I said, there was really detailed info for the primals themselves, but I didn't get anything like that for the music itself. I was told, do it however you like. I'm into rock music, and Titan is pretty much a rock himself. So the rest is history.
I can't argue with that.
Oh, Yoshida, the original lyrics for Titan's song were something. Oh yeah, they were like M-rated, weren't they? They were like some F-bombs going off.
Yeah, he used to write him that gap where it goes like da-da-da-da-da-da. They used to go, "Fuck you, Titan."
Oh yes, right.
They still do it live every time.
Ah, I see. Okay. I was on a business trip when they sent me the track, but before I had a chance to listen to it, the US team asked me, "Have you heard the lyrics?" To which I said, "Why? Is there something wrong with them?" And they told me the whole song was one huge problem and to scrap the vocals entirely. When I heard it, the track was full on really bad language. Soken told me he wasn't actually planning to use it, but still.
I love to imagine that it was just like the most disgusting
it was
shit ever.
Vile language.
He was like, I was just kidding. We weren't going to use it.
Yeah. Gondai says it was the kind of stuff you can't say on TV.
Thanks, Gondai.
I have a sneaky suspicion that "Fuck You, Titan" was not the only other part. It may have just been the most PG part.
Soken, and it was only that over and over. Gondai.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, release that track, Soken. As a member of the dev team, I was like, sure, whatever, but there are rules we have to follow. Komoto, even bumping up the rating of the game wouldn't have been enough.
What was in this song?
Holy shit.
What the hell was in this song?
Takai continues, I can't believe the dev team was willing to go along with it. Yoshida, everyone was saying how great it was, and I thought, you guys can't be serious. But the music itself was awesome, so we kept that and got Koji to write some proper lyrics for it. The final version went over really well with the players.
And then Gondai says, if we released that song, you would have gone to jail.
Okay, this is totally unrelated, but I've removed all pictures from this document. But I wanted to keep this picture of Komoto because he looks so cute.
Give him a hug.
Look at him with his little belly.
Yeah, I need to pat his belly.
Oh, he's so cute. Okay. moving on.
By the way, the director of 1.0, if you guys didn't
Director
know.
of 1.0, yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't mention that earlier, yeah. He was demoted to a lead program developer, which isn't a bad demotion.
Gameplay, what was it? Is that what it was?
Lead game designer.
Programmer.
Lead game designer. Yeah.
Game design lead, yeah.
There are normal, hard, and extreme versions of the primal battles, but what work goes into adjusting the difficulty? Gondai says, we thought it would be okay to make the content in A Realm Reborn on the hard side, harder than it is now, in fact. Like we talked about before, we designed the dungeons so that you wouldn't be able to complete them on your first try, maybe your second or third. Kenji Sudo designed Amdapur Keep, including the Demon Wall's pushback mechanics and the part in the Antaboga. What? Anantaboga.
There you go.
Fight where you have to hide behind the statues to avoid being KO'd. We got the feeling it was too difficult, but went ahead and tried it anyway. With the raids, a lot of players who completed them said they were too easy, which we saw as their way of challenging us to make future content harder. Wry laugh. Tanking is tricky, but people said that DPS is too simple because all they do is attack, so we introduced some gimmicks for them in Ramu Extreme. Yoshida. The theme builds up a knowledge base through this process of trial and error, and the dev members themselves gain valuable experience in designing MMOs. But with some of the amount of work they do, there's no way they wouldn't grow. Gondai says, it really is about trial and error. Some people were saying that Final Coil of Bahamut was too easy, so while developing normal difficulty content and upping the overall scale of the project for Heavensward, we tried to make the Savage raids hard enough to satisfy these players and ended up catching a lot of flack for it. For that, you all have our apologies.
Yeah, you may have dropped the ball a little bit on the Heavensward raids.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yoshida, I thought, anyone who can't beat Faust, enemy fought before the boss and Alexander, the Fist of the Father, should quit now. You said this game is too easy, didn't you? Then how about this? I guess I got kind of carried away and made a bad call.
Why does he think that's a bad call? Faust was awesome. It was a great idea.
They used it too much.
The DPS check. Basically.
Yeah, but what's wrong with? I never heard anyone complain about.
Yeah, no one's complaining.
Faust was great.
It's like a meme.
It was a gear check.
Yeah.
If you can't beat this, just leave.
Yeah,
then just don't come in. Go back and get better gear.
That's very true.
I think every raid should have that at the first tier of each new wing. Just 100%. So you can say, well, I'll be able to do this and we'll go.
Yeah.
Where are we? Takai. Back then, every time we'd beat a raid, we'd complain to the dev team, why can't you design stuff that makes us feel good about completing it? And then they'd come back with, if we do that, who's that? My hero will start bragging that it's too easy. Takai, then I'd say it's our job to give the players something to brag about, though. Make the raids more fun. Gundai, we don't mind the boasting, but we got the impression you really did think it's not hard enough. We figured out that if you guys say it's too easy, it means we'll probably hit that sweet spot in terms of difficulty.
I would hope so. If you make the fight, you should know the mechanics pretty well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so now they're going to reflect on the rebirth of Eorzea. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the transition from the original 14 to A Realm Reborn? Komoto. It's interesting that he starts. I'm most interested in Komodo in this question.
Yeah,
I remember being really surprised because he's not Tanaka, but he's the other he's the other part. There was a producer and a director back then, and he was one part of that team. I remember being really surprised by the number of returning players. We weren't fully prepared for it and had to restrict logins for a while. Oh boy, do I remember that. But I was thrilled that so many people came back to us, and there were lots of new players too. In fact, that day made such a lasting impression on me that it's hard to recall much else. I've got nothing but love for you guys. Thank you all so much. And remember that picture of him, his big belly.
He must be talking about beta at that point, right?
It's hard to say.
He's talking about beta then?
No, I think it's he says the login restrictions were launch. Gondai. During the development of A Realm Reborn, Yoshida told us to give it everything we had, but after that, it was our first patch is really important, so we have to work hard on patch 2.1. Then, we need to do our best on patch 2.2 as well, and before we knew it, we were on to the expansion is a huge deal, so we gotta give this our all too. That was while working on Ninja and PvP. and I constantly felt
Yikes.
like we were pushing ourselves way beyond our limits. Before I knew it, we ended up where we are today. I also remember taking part in the fan festival, and while I'd never done anything like that before, I was able to meet the fans in person and really get a sense that these guys are taking the time to play our game. It was an awesome experience. I'll be thinking about all you players out there while I'm working on 14. Takai says, we went through a lot to get A Realm Reborn released, but seeing the reaction from the players made it all worthwhile. I also remember how Komoto was crying his eyes out at the end of the 2014 fan festival in Japan. I thought, oh, he really is human after all.
Oh, he's a big teddy bear.
Komoto, what made you think I'm not? Takai, I always thought that no matter what happens, that was the one line you'd never cross. Yoshida, but then you ended up crying too. They're like little children. Yoshida, you cried too. What are you on about?
Yeah, what are you talking about, man?
Takai, yeah, only because Komoto was. They are literally like children.
Yeah.
That was enough to make even an old wolf like me cry. Soken, we were working on A Realm Reborn at the same time as the original 14, so things were crazy back then. That's going to be the toughest job ever. But like Gondai was saying, we went straight from that into patch 2.1, then 2.2, and then Heavensward, they skipped a few, but
those were rubbish patches.
Yeah, they were just crap patches. And the work just kept coming in. Suddenly I realized this was the busiest I'd ever been. Seriously, I thought this guy was trying to kill me. He'll stroll over and casually drop something on me like, sorry to dump this on you, but I want you to write the Heavensward theme. It's a lot of work to keep a game like this running, but when I see how nuts the player go for all the new content, I feel like it was worth the effort. I'm sure you'll enjoy what we have in store. Mm-hmm. Here are the closing words by Yoshida.
Soken specifically probably has the best track record of any developer on the team.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like
he's never really let anyone down.
Right, everyone slipped up from time to time on content, but Soken, I personally don't think he's never made a track where I'm like, take that out of the game. That's awful.
Right.
Yeah,
not even close. Not even close.
No.
So, I mean, he's right.
I mean, some are forgettable, but they're not bad.
Yeah. Okay, closing statement by Yoshida here. A lot has happened. In the shift from the original 14 to Realm Reborn, there are so many great memories, but the fan festivals with the crowd cheering and screaming really left an impression on me. It was a whole lot more than just an enjoyable experience. In fact, the degree of enthusiasm the fans showed was overwhelming. To see that our game had grown into something that brings people together and generates this amount of hype was incredibly satisfying. I still feel exactly the same way now, and it'd be great to bring even more experiences like this to the fans. We'll continue to expand the world of Final Fantasy XIV, and I hope to see you all there.
It's weird, but every time we go through interviews like this, I get really hyped for the game.
Yeah.
I just want to play it loads. And then I log in and do a bit, and then I'm like, oh.
So this is what I log in for, huh?
But it's nice to see how passionate they are.
Yeah. I think... Is it going to play? No, it's not. I'll repeat that in the post-show instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. That's really interesting. Gives us a lot of stuff that we've never heard before.
It's like a behind the scenes without actually getting to see it. I wish someone had filmed it though.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what it was like back then.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even now though, if you guys fancy doing like a tour of the 14 studio, I would watch.
It's weird that they don't. They did it for 1.0.
I need to see it all. And here is, Soken working on a song.
I want to see the Chocobo guy. I want to see where he worked. I want to see his computer.
If you go to the Square Enix main offices, and then in the car park to the left, there's a trailer, and then it's got a big Chocobo painted on it.
Yeah,
and that's where he works, crying most of the time.
Yeah. It's rare because it's a rare occurrence. They've always been so closed up about it. It's only like in recent months, well, maybe the past year or so, that they've started to open up a bit more.
Yeah. But they've really opened up here. They've called out the company. They've called out the bad things that happened. They've gone, this is how it was.
Yeah,
it was good. Tough for us too.
Yeah.
I think you also point out something interesting too, where you're like, they did all this stuff for 1.0, which clearly had even just going off what the way they talk about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was a very positive experience for any of them.
No.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were doing these like behind the scenes, oh look how good everything is during 1.0, but when things are actually going better, they're not doing it. It's not a problem. They don't have to do it, but
looking back on that, because they've made like a featurette that was included with the collector's edition. Actually, that's something we can look at on stream one day, maybe, like just on the post show or whatever.
That would be good. I don't think I've seen it.
Now that we know like what was actually going on, seeing the footage from behind the scenes could be really interesting. But yeah, that was really good. This is only part 1. Part 2 will be about Heavensward, which is also pretty interesting. That was like the
yes.
You know, I wonder if they'll talk about the drought between the launch and the patch 3.1.
Yeah,
I'm definitely curious because there's a lot. If they're gonna be this honest all the way through, I would love to hear how they talk about Diadem.
The
break at 3.1. I can't wait till they talk about how the problems with Pagos and all that stuff. Like I hope they're as transparent about the Heavensward and Stormblood as they were about 2.0 and 1.0 here.
Yeah,
sure. If they are, it's gonna be super interesting to read.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, all they need to say is we really tried, but we agree it wasn't great, and I'll be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you don't try and say, we remade it and everyone loved it.
Will be very it will also be very interesting to hear them talk about PvP because that came with Heavensward.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Because there's been. You can't.
It's had a resurgence. It's
been semi-successful at different points.
But it took a very long time because right now I would say it's at its peak. But it has been a long road.
They're focusing on the wrong part of PvP. Well, the good stuff is the battlegrounds rather than the feast.
Yeah. Wasn't the feast the very first? What's the very first incarnation of the feast called? That was like 2.1.
Wolves Den.
Wolves Den.
It was like 2.1.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh,
yeah, it was really.
They didn't even mention it here.
They fixed the feast with Heavensward. Is what they
True.
did. That's when because remember that was the fold. That's it. Thank you very much. The fold still exists. It just doesn't.
Oh yeah, it was 2.1. I did a fucking Fallen Rise episode on it. What am I on about?
Super old.
Yeah. I feel like in Heavensward was when it started to get more traction. That's probably why I associate it with
that.
PvP.
Is when they added the feast. Was with Heavensward, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when. Oh no, because Frontlines existed before Heavensward too.
Yeah, the two good Frontlines existed.
Because Slaughter was around and Secure was around.
Yeah. It was only Shatter they added in Heavensward, but they added.
I miss Slaughter. I'll still say it. Bring Slaughter back. It was the dopest.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, it was around for a while. It's just Seal Rock came out with Heavensward.
Oh, Seal Rock was good.
Heavensward. But yeah, I mean, they didn't. It's surprising because they didn't really mention it much in this interview. They kind of just said we had to make it.
Yeah, PvP has been going through a lot in every expansion. Right, I guess we'll do some MogMail. We'll save that. We have another thing that we'll save for next week. Because we have a lot of MogMail to get through.
Do we know when the next part of the trilogy comes out?
It does not say. So maybe does it state like if it's? Let me check just real quick here.
Is this on the dev blog?
No, it's just na.finalfantasy.com/topic/21. It was posted on November 30th, so yesterday. No, it doesn't say. So
Slaughter was basically team deathmatch in the same arena as Secure.
Yes.
The full map though. This is before they had the shrinking map thing.
Oh yeah.
So you could get the different size. It was the map was too big. The concept is amazing, and it was way more fun than the feast, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the retrospective looking back on 14. Now we're gonna go back to our MogMail. Remember, you can send us MogMail at speakersxv.com/MogMail. The first one is from Manix Daruka from Cerberus. Hello, speakers. Hello. Back at the end of 2.0 MSQ, the Warrior of Light got a vision of a purple version of the Mother Crystal, which could mean that she could be corrupted, as the color of darkness in this game is sometimes represented by purple, as we could see in the Shadowbringers trailer. Do you guys think this will play a role in the reason why we become the Warriors of Darkness, or be related with the expansion at all, as it was never really brought up again after that one vision? Well, you're right about it that it was not being brought up after that vision. That was never really referenced again. But
however,
yeah,
it won't the Mother Crystal. That was Zodiac.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
Zodiac.
It is.
Yeah, that wasn't Heidelin.
Yeah.
It is weird though, because it happens that one time, and it's just we never really just talk about it ever again.
Going on the idea that it was the Mother Crystal, it could be very good foreshadowing in that we now go against her and she's the evil thing.
Yeah, well, then why would she get corrupted? If she gets corrupted, then we'd stay on her side.
Yeah, right.
Exactly, yeah. I'm pretty sure
then we would just switch sides. Yeah,
I'm for sure that's Zodiac.
And in my mind, it was in the center of the moon. But I know Yaz hates.
I do.
But it totally is.
So
100%.
Yeah. I mean, we'll soon find out, though.
Dude, we're going to find the answers to all of our questions. We're going to find out where the crystals are. We're going to find out what the 12 is.
Dude, we have so many questions about the 12. Yes, and I was talking about it the other day.
Oh, we had such a long discussion about it.
There is not enough lore about the 12.
Like, every single point we brought up, it was like, there's a counterpoint for every single argument.
Yeah.
So you basically finished the conversation going, we've gotten nowhere.
Yeah.
We've gotten literally nowhere.
Yeah.
So confusing.
It's weird because in 11, the gods were gods. Like, they were real. And there were like different tiers. There were the two god. I can't remember their name right now, but Promathia. Oh, you're talking about there were the
ranks,
the sleeping gods. The sleep and there are tiers, and then the top gods were Promathia and the other one who caused a lot of trouble. But in 14, you don't really know what they were. The primal thing is a good hot potato, but then again, why wouldn't they be summoned all the time? Because we keep praying to them
all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a whole continent praying to the 12. But then again, we don't have any concept of what a real god would be. Like that doesn't exist either.
Yeah.
And one of the fascinating things is that we started talking about was like, okay, if they're real, who saw them and documented it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like because we have all these
images.
Right.
Yeah.
How do we get the images of them? Exactly right. Yeah. It doesn't really make any sense why we would have those images.
But I suppose there are real world religions where there are images of like multi-theistic religions where they have images of the gods and you don't know where they came from.
Right.
Well, we probably could research.
Yeah, I think you could trace it back usually. Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, you can sort of trace it back because we talked about that too. Like the symbol for not Menfina, the other one. Althic? I can't remember. The one with the round one with the looks like a banner underneath it. It's
the shell one?
Yes. Is it a shell? It's supposed to be a shell. I can't remember which god it is.
Isn't it supposed to be based on the old currency?
Yeah, is that what it is? Currency? No, isn't that that Null?
You're thinking of the wrong one.
No,
he's thinking of the wrong one.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. That symbol represents a god. Is it Thaliac? I think it's Thaliac is a.
It's not Thaliac.
Who? Oh, fuck! I have to Google it now.
It doesn't really matter either way.
Okay.
Thaliac's the one that's a scroll.
That's a scroll.
It's supposed to be Althic.
Right. These symbols have been used, like
that's
attached to things that are completely different from each other, that are unrelated.
Asema?
It's so strange.
Yeah.
It really is.
Asema. I think it's Asema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is Asema. Yeah, because that's used in a different culture altogether.
It's all the way from Mericidia. The tree people worship it.
Yeah,
and that's they applied it to Sephiroth. So it's like that is so unrelated to the actual god story.
Yeah, but it could also mean that they did worship the god but gave it a different name. So
how to get there? The story had to get there somehow.
Yes.
So it's like it's a point for and against them being real and fake. It's so confusing, man.
And then just to add like a little bit extra into the mix, the Mughals can summon Ralga, who is
whoa.
Sorry,
pull the brake. Ramu.
Potentially Ralga.
Well, see that theory can break as well because that's something that Eorzeans have attributed to Ramu because they.
But why?
Why? Yeah, exactly. Did they go? Oh, that looks like that one god we drew.
But it doesn't look like.
Or did they go? Maybe that's what Ralgar looks like. Like, did they base Ralgar off Ramu? Or
why would they be like, these little furry blobs?
Because why would the Sylph summon Ralgar? It makes no sense either.
It makes no sense, yeah.
But why isn't he a giant floating cabbage? Why is he a man with a beard? There are because they're created in their image, isn't it? They like have.
Not always, because Garuda is based on the Allagan general that came down and laughed at the XIV. So maybe the cabbages saw Ralga or something that they thought their savior.
All I'm saying is that the 12 I think the 12 are different from primals. Otherwise, they would appear all the time. Because Eorzeans pray for they pray all the time. Like if you go to any of the stones, there are people praying in front of them all the time.
I mean, and a good thing to back that up is Thornton.
Yes.
Look what happens when a bunch of people pray for one thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's something
it's only
there.
Like one town doing it.
Yeah.
Don't make any sense, right?
We don't know. So the thing is, people say they are Eorzean or whatever. They were there were creatures on Hydaelyn, and that's our new show, by the way. The
creatures on Hydaelyn.
Ellison, didn't the Ellison claim that they were descendants from the 12 or whatever? Yeah,
100%.
Of course they would claim that.
Yeah, they would.
Stupid long necks.
Yeah,
it's not even a claim; it's just fact.
Yeah. So we don't know what they were. We just know what the Eorzeans think they were.
So there's a fairly strong idea that they're separate from primals, though, because the genesis of Eorzea or Hydaelyn or whatever is the 12, the story of the 12 making the world and whatever, and they're sisters and they're lovers and they give birth to the other gods. And then the primals, there's no one saying, "Oh, well, Ifrit made volcanoes."
But here's a counterpoint to that, which kind of dismantles that.
It's a great discussion. This is a great.
It basically ended up turning into a great discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter if it's real or not. You can summon a primal version of something.
Well, yes.
So why wouldn't you be able to? Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
Go, God, I wish I had a loaf of bread, and then a bread god appears. Like, why are the
I mean,
technically in Eorzea that could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
So why are all the primals really horrible monsters that are trying to kill everyone?
I think it's mostly because you need a certain amount of people. You need crystals. First of all, you need crystals.
There's a lot of people need bread.
Yeah, well,
it's got a point.
That's true. I
mean, look at the broom. Why isn't there like a bread god in the broom?
Technically,
you need bread crystals. That's
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you need dough crystals.
I think
like really squishy.
I don't know. I don't know how that would work. You need crystals, which is true. So you would.
Yeah.
How would poor people who need bread?
No, you need ether, and ether's everywhere.
You need ether.
Yeah. You don't need
crystals. Just makes it faster.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I get. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying.
You just use the eye.
Yeah. It's so weird.
And yet there was boatloads.
And it is like I said, the 12 would have been roaming around all the time because that's what the Eorzeans associate with help. Like, I need help, please, Lim Lane.
That's the thing. It's like when Mela just brought up a good point. Like Tsukuyomi, there's not that many people praying for her to exist. It's pretty much just her by herself.
Yeah, but they had loads of
crystals. Loads of crystals. It doesn't.
So the 12, if anything,
this
gives more wind in the sails that the 12 should be around all the time if we don't even need crystals.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which is why I'm saying they can't be primals.
No, I think they're some sort of like Hydaelyn's protectors.
Because the thing is, it doesn't matter if they're primals or not to summon a primal version of something.
So
that's also true.
Yeah, that's true. But here's what I think.
If
the only way you can summon a primal is if you have this mental image of what the primal is. Like, they must know what they're summoning. Images. And yeah, the 12 have literally statues everywhere.
You don't even need an imagination to think of them.
No, you have a good idea of what they look like for the most part. There are some that don't have, flat out statues, but still.
I'd imagine the people in Ralga's Reach who are under duress at all times from the Guardian Empire are probably praying a little bit.
They kept praying during the MSQ. They tried to summon fucking Ralgar during the
Anbelias.
Yeah.
Anbelias. They could summon multiple things.
Yeah. The 12 are real and they have abandoned us.
They have. That's what isn't that what the story is like? The current lore is saying.
It don't matter if they abandoned us or not.
Why can't we summon them?
Because you could still summon something in their image. I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah, but that's almost what happened, wasn't it? During the Ralgar, when they tried to summon Ralgar, and they locked it into that meteor thing.
Sure.
Because they also said that they were summoning like an abomination or whatever. It wasn't any of the 12. It was going to be something complete, like very destructive other thing. That's why Papa Limo, spoilers, killed himself for us. I don't.
That wasn't supposed to be Shinryu from the beginning.
No,
I don't think it was.
Isn't it because they all had a conflicted idea of what they wanted? Or
yeah,
something?
Shinryu was like an effect of just.
They probably had Bahamut in mind, though. At the
Maybe
that's what I always thought.
Yeah,
is that it was
because if you're thinking what can destroy the Guardians, well, what destroyed us?
Right, right. Bahamut. But they did all say Ralgar. There was like they chanted Ralgar at the end when they
pretty
died.
Far off.
Yeah. That was
Well,
missed the mark a little.
But yeah, that's the main thing for me.
It's
so strange that they can't, like, it doesn't matter if something's alive, dead, real or not to summon it in this world. So what's preventing us from summoning a version of the primals, right?
I think Umbral's onto something. Because they used the Dragon Eyes as a catalyst. That might have been the reason why.
Maybe.
Did you just freeze again? How dare you?
Did I? Does that mean that the fucking OBS is going to crash again?
Possibly.
You're just going to be that image now. It's fine. It's a nice shot. Yes. It's like a very somber, thoughtful.
You're always reading chat now.
Yeah, you're reading chat. Sure. You know, people feel included now.
I'm always watching.
Yeah. What am I saying? Oh yeah, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the gods.
It's
endlessly fascinating subject. I want more information. And
especially if Ramu actually ends up being like, if Ramu's actually any version of Ralgar, like even in a distant way, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody saw Ralgar, thought it was blah 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 blah. 3 steps down. Yeah. Why can't we do that with another god, right? Why couldn't something that is inspired by Halone, then we could summon that? Because that makes just as much sense technically, right?
There is a very big divide between why can the beast tribes keep summoning their gods, and yet when we pray for something, nothing happens. Why aren't we able to?
Well, it is true. Not nothing happens.
That's true. That's
not
also
much.
True. I mean, we have
not what we expect to happen.
Exactly right. It's like the dumb beast tribes can summon gods. Why can't we? Like the mightiest people.
Do you think maybe it's because it's on a way larger scale?
Why would it be on a way larger scale though?
Well, I'm just saying the one example we have of people trying to summon the 12 is on a way larger scale than summoning Titan in a mountain. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
We were trying, like, maybe it was just the size.
But we were trying to summon 12 at once.
Sure. Yeah. And then like maybe there's physically not enough ether on the entire planet of Hydaelyn.
But that would make them different. That would make them different. Yes.
For sure.
That would not qualify them as primals to me, in my eyes.
Why?
They would be something, because primals can be summoned by beast tribes for like
but they still require
10 gil.
Anything can be summoned. That's what's so. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, they can't clearly.
But why not just make up something else that's like exactly the same, attach a different name to it, and summon that?
You have to believe in it. Isn't that the whole thing?
And how come?
But it doesn't need to be real.
If you're like, oh, I need bread, I'm gonna pray for bread god, but bread god doesn't exist. You don't believe in bread god.
Neither does Garuda. Garuda didn't exist either.
Garuda was a woman. She wasn't this like.
Well, they built an image around her, didn't they?
Exactly, and I built an image of bread god.
But no, you'd be alone. You'd be like in your kitchen, like, oh bread god, oh bread god. No one else is praying for bread god.
Everyone is praying for bread god.
I mean, but think about Thornton then. Thornton, they were just praying for popes in general. They weren't actually praying for Thornton.
A big armored old man.
Didn't they think of King Thornton though? Didn't they?
Yeah, King Thornton. Yeah.
But he's an idea, and he's an old figure in
right.
Their lore,
well, so clearly something. I don't know. We don't know.
It doesn't. We need answers, man.
Why can't the Ascians just summon Zodiac?
Well, that's a little different. That's a mother crystal.
That's a mother crystal. We can. Those are different things.
That.
Yeah, I mean, but they
are the closest we are right now to actual gods, though. Like Hydaelyn and Zodiac.
I agree. I would say those are the only concrete 100% we know they're gods.
But how I always viewed it, and that's probably my 11 mentality, was that you have Hydaelyn for us, and then it splits down to 12, which is like her 12 gods, and then there's the people of Hydaelyn and all the beast tribes and all the fucking primals. Right. I think the 12 were supposed to be, like in a hierarchy, but we never hear about the 12, so we don't really know.
Why doesn't Hydaelyn ever bring them up?
Exactly.
Like I always think of it in this way, like back in the day, if you were supposed to go speak to the king, right? Say the king of Norway.
Okay.
He didn't come talk to you. He sent a knight to come talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like that's generally how it works.
Yes.
You send
Maybe
Like,
they.
if Zodiac doesn't come talk, he sends Ascians to come talk to us.
But
Why
Hydaelyn,
is Hydaelyn so...
Hydaelyn rarely
Direct.
speaks to anyone except for the ones with the echo, though. She doesn't like make house calls. Like she
That's
only talks
true.
to you for like very specific reasons, and maybe she doesn't want, because she has the ability to talk to you directly. Why would she send a knight?
You brought up your theory the other night when we were talking, and you said maybe she's hiding them from us, and I was like, that actually makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if they're like
Keeping
weapons.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
To fight Zodiac.
Yeah.
Right. She has those weapons in her pocket.
Would
So
also
maybe,
explain why the 12 didn't show up at the end of an era because she saved them for a later purpose.
Dude, do you know what? You might actually be onto something. Maybe the thing that's preventing us from summoning the 12 is Hydaelyn literally refusing us to let them. That makes way more sense than anything else, because there's nothing preventing us from summoning anything in the world. Yet there's a barrier on these. What if she's saying, no thanks, you're not summoning those.
So can she control what is and isn't summoned?
Well, she kind of controls.
She's holding the 12 trapped, so that
she also kind of has control of Aether in a large way. I mean, she can really manipulate that stuff, give people powers, take powers away.
What if she's like every time we pray to the 12, all the Aether goes right into her, so we're just fueling her instead of the 12. Huh? There you go. There's a conspiracy.
That's an interesting one.
But who's Zodiac's equivalent of the 12 then? Because the Ascians are obviously
we don't know. We don't know anything about Zodiac.
Yeah, maybe they don't have them.
Maybe the Ascians.
Maybe the Ascians are then. That's a good point.
No, because the Ascians are more like us. If they die, they get reborn like we do. They're not gods because they can be defeated.
No, well, in very complicated means.
Yeah, but
it's hard to kill us too. Yeah, it's hard to kill us as well. That's right.
That's a good point.
We just get reborn.
Yeah,
I know it is weird to think that I've also thought of the Ascians as essentially the Dark Echo. Right?
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing, but they're just. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe Zodiac don't have them.
Maybe,
yeah.
Right. This is nebulous, right?
I love the word. Say it again.
No, it's gonna say it again. You know, it's
the Warriors of Darkness are the people who have come from a world where light won.
Sure.
The Ascians, maybe they came from a world where darkness won.
Well,
nebulous. Say it again. Can you say it again?
That's nebulous.
Oh. That is nebulous. I agree.
Think about it.
Maybe. I mean, at the same time, do they even need to come from a world?
They don't, but I would like to.
They don't really need to.
Otherwise, then you can just sort of bring in a lot of things, can't you?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But then this came from a random planet.
It opens everything. Like
That's just too much.
We're just gonna, I think we can all agree that there's something with the 12. Something's different. Yeah. They're not Ifrit. You know, they're not made of the same shit. Because otherwise they'd be around by now.
Exactly.
I just want to know why we can't summon them anyways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because in my mind, there's a difference between the 12 and summoned versions of the 12.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
Shit, wait, hold the phone.
Opening another door. Another door is opening.
No, wait, you can't summon something that's alive. It's impossible. You cannot summon something that is currently living right now.
Right. Are you saying that the 12? Oh yeah, you're right. So
maybe that's why you can't summon the 12, because they're still alive. So we weren't trying to summon
inside the statues.
We weren't trying to summon the 12. We were trying to summon primals of the 12 to help us out. But since the 12 actually exists, we can't do that.
There is no clear definition of where they went after the world was created, is there? Other than they just went away?
Just into the heavens.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So, but where would they be?
Just in another plane of existence.
Yeah, different existence.
Interesting.
Different dimension.
They didn't hear our prayers.
Maybe they're sitting.
They did.
Oh, maybe Hydaelyn's cutting it off. If we're combining conspiracy theories now, so
yeah,
sure. Let's throw them all in there.
What's the motivation?
The 12?
Hydaelyn's.
Oh, Hydaelyn. We don't know. Well, Hydaelyn's going off the chain. She's
exactly.
It's supposed to be civility and peace versus chaos.
Maybe the 12 knew that Hydaelyn was going to go apeshit. She locked them up to prevent them from protecting the people. And that's what's happening now.
Fight us.
Yeah. Hell yeah, make it happen.
I think
we solved it.
We've cracked it.
We cracked the code, everyone.
Thanks, Manic Staroko.
Thanks for the question about a purple crystal. You very much answered your question.
Yeah.
No, that was a good question. Thank you. I liked
this.
That chat.
I could talk for hours about this.
I know.
I wish we just need a god, like a 14-12 Gods of Eorzea podcast.
You need a conspiracy cast.
Conspiracy cast. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, we'll read all the other ones in the next episode. Sorry to everyone who. Well, you don't know who you are. Oh, you know who you are if you sent MogMail, but
if you sent MogMail, it'll be read next.
We'll read it next week. Don't worry.
There's probably less to talk about then.
Probably. Well, we'll have a whole interview as well. But...
Unless we have part 2 and then we can't read.
We might actually have.
Yeah, we might. Okay. Thank you guys. We're actually out of time, so thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
It's very weird seeing jazz.
Okay, wait. Watch this. Watch my. I'm gonna do the best ventriloquism ever. You ready? I'm gonna say something. Watch my mouth move. Are you ready? It's not gonna move at all. Hey guys, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate you being here.
Whoa!
Holy fuck, dude!
I know. I'm like Jeff Dunham. I'm like Jeff Dunham.
Wow.
Never thought I'd hear that name in 2018.
Minimum item.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, minimum. Did you say cock?
Cup.
Oh.
Although that would be good. I mean, if you can answer the other question.
Where's the cock?
Yeah.
I'll tell you after the show.
Thank you.
Okay, which episode am I gonna pull out of this cup, dude?
Oh, I hope it's never read.
Okay.
It's gonna be Bardams. We haven't done Bardams yet, right?
We did Bardams.
We did Bardams. Fuck.
Bardams.
Castramabania.
Castramabania, that's your final answer.
I don't even know what else is in that list.
Me neither.
We've done
Castramabania.
Well, we're going to
Castramabania.
We're going to Kugan. We're going to the castles.
Kugan
Castle.
Okay.
We'll have Rollo with us. Oh, we have to roll. Dudes, I fixed the wheel. Here's this. Where's the sound?
Click, 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 click,
Click, click, click, click, click, click, click, click, click, click. I swear to you, I fixed it. Click, 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 click.
Is this the audio listener's favorite
Click,
part?
click, click. Yeah, I think so. Click, 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 click. No.
Oh,
We just missed the no HUD. No job, Christelle.
Click, 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 click.
Very fun.
Very fun. I love it.
Right.
Look at my face. Look how much fun.
Yeah, I can tell in your face.
I'm having so much fun right now.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Speakers of Idlin. I'm doing the old outro now. I'm the Keel Bravestone. I've been joined by Aspot Melavander. Remember to follow us on Twitter at SpeakersXIV.com, Twitch.tv/SpeakersOfIdlin, YouTube.com/SpeakersXIV, exclamation Discord in chat if you want to join our Discord server, if you're watching live, if you're watching on demand, links in the description.
Send us MogMail!
SpeakersXIV.com/MogMail. Remember to stay tuned if you're watching live for the post show where we will be premiering part 2 of the Remnants of a Realm special on Limsa Lominsa. We'll be looking at the upper decks, so stay tuned for that as well. Bye!